Ms. Christine Shifka, a staff member in the Department of Geography, will lead us in the singing of O Canada.
O Canada, our home and native land, true patriot love in all our sons' command. With glowing hearts we see thee rise, the true North, strong and free. From far and wide, O Canada, we stand on guard for thee. God, keep our land glorious and free. O Canada, we stand on guard for thee. O Canada, we stand on guard for thee.
Please be seated. I declare the June 2009 Convocation assembled for the granting of degrees. Mr. President, members of the Board of Governors and Senate, faculty, honored guests, graduates, and friends, my name is Brant Louie, and I'm the Chancellor of Simon Fraser University. This is our 44th annual Convocation, and we are delighted and honored to have in attendance today a number of distinguished guests on the platform and in the audience, including friends and colleagues of the university, representatives of our fellow educational institutions, the federal and provincial governments, and consular officials. A special welcome is given to the Honourable Yona Martin, Senator of British Columbia, and Mr. Harry Bloy, MLA for Bequitlam. I am pleased also to welcome our audience from around the world joining us via the internet through today's live web broadcast. Welcome to you all. This morning, an honorary doctorate of laws will be conferred on Javid Mofagian. Today is an important milestone. Today, we gather to acknowledge and celebrate your efforts and achievements as you formally accept the credentials you worked so hard to accomplish. Today marks the completion of an important leg in your life's journey and the start of another. It was the 19th century English clergyman Edwin Paxton Hood who advised, "Be as careful of the books you read as of the company you keep, for your habits and character will be as much influenced by the former as by the latter." Today, as you stand with your fellow graduates, surrounded by the family, friends, and faculty who have supported and encouraged you on your journey, I am confident that you have good reason to be proud of both the books you have read and the company you have kept. Since opening its doors to the first 2,500 students in 1965, Simon Fraser has proved itself to be a world-class academic institution, earning a proud reputation for its bold initiatives, its willingness to take risks, and its unfailing commitment to the ideal that learning is a lifelong journey. Built on the foundations of values that celebrate discovery, diversity, and dialogue, it took on the motto, "Nous sommes prêts." We are ready. The bold statement of capacity and intent has held true for over 4 decades, and they are the words that will carry us into the future. As you walk across the stage today and take that next important step towards your future, you carry with you the honor and pride of accomplishment that comes from earning your degree at one of Canada's most distinguished and respected universities. Simon Fraser University is ranked as Canada's top comprehensive university and as one of the best employers in the country. In 2008, we set a new record for first-year enrollment with over 5,500 students. And in June last year, Christy Gerlich Fitzgerald crossed this convocation dais as the university's 100,000th graduate. Today, it's your turn. We are ready, and thanks to your commitment and efforts, you are ready. You are ready as graduates of Simon Fraser University to join the global community of alumni who are pioneering new frontiers worldwide, working to find balance in shifting economies, battling climate change, and spearheading innovation to resolve global health issues. As I was preparing for today, thinking about what would be the right message to share with you, I considered the nature of the world into which you are graduating. Right now, we are experiencing a time of unprecedented upheaval and crisis on a global scale. The automotive industry is embattled. The financial sector is under siege. The environment is at risk, and there is political unrest and brinkmanship across the globe. And I was reminded of the old saying, "May you live in interesting times." There is some disagreement as to whether this saying is intended to be a blessing or a curse. On the one hand, interesting times can be unstable, unpredictable, and dangerous. On the other hand, interesting times offers opportunity, challenge, and possibility. It was Sir Winston Churchill who observed, "A pessimist sees the difficulty in every opportunity. An opportunist sees the opportunity in every difficulty." So I encourage you to take the optimistic version of interesting times to seek out the unique opportunities that our current situation has to offer. It has been noted that during more stable, predictable periods, society tends to be less willing to embrace change or challenge the status quo. But in times of crisis or upheaval, mankind has proved itself to be both resourceful and adaptable. I believe it is in interesting times that we shake the comfort of the status quo and explore alternatives for progress. I believe that it is in interesting times that we find the opportunity to be collaborative in our efforts against shared enemies and in meeting challenges. And I believe that it is only in interesting times that we encounter the most meaningful opportunities for reinvention and transition within a climate that supports innovation and evolution. So it appears that, blessed or cursed as we may be with these interesting times, our current economic plight may well prove itself to be the catalyst for positive change. In July 2008, oil reached an all-time high of $147 a barrel, and many of the experts at the time were predicting that these prices would climb even higher. It seemed that the resulting price shock and erratic fuel price fluctuations at the pump gave us all cause to reconsider the longer-term implications of our relationship with fossil fuels, and as a consequence, rethink our SUVs and our lifestyles. The effect of soaring fuel prices on the day-to-day lives of ordinary people brought home to us all the reality that oil is finite, dirty, and politically complicated fuel source, a realization that has resonated with stakeholders across the entire economic spectrum. Back in September, panic at the prospect of oil reaching $200 a barrel caused us to reconsider the longer-term sustainability of everything, from satellite manufacturing facilities in China to spur-of-the-moment trips to Las Vegas to the luxury of eating kiwi fruits out of season. The risk of all of the familiar consumables that require thousands of gallons of oil to transport them across the world became too clear. And it is almost ironic that the events which appear to have saved us from this fear of $200 per barrel fate was the economic collapse that we experienced in September, which caused demand to plummet and prices to drop. The problem is that while this economic crisis may well have given us a temporary reprieve, the price of oil has already started to creep back up as hope for an economic turnaround and rising equities push back against the depressing effects of reduced demand and increased inventory levels. Things are changing. Now more than ever before, governments of most oil-dependent countries across the world are aggressively encouraging and supporting the identification and development of alternative energy options. Now more than ever before, scientists are exploring established and new ways to generate electrical power and fuel vehicles to meet tomorrow's commercial, residential, and industrial requirements. The $200 per barrel fuels scare many, may prove to be exactly the wake-up call we needed. And today, less than a year since we faced down impossible gas prices, we have a collective focus as Canadians on finding ways to reduce our own personal consumption through conservation, technology, and increased efficiency, regardless of fuel source. Energy-efficient lighting alternatives that require a fraction of the electricity of the old incandescent light bulb and throw off significantly less heat are commonplace today. Fuel efficiency is a more significant factor when people are buying items such as cars or household appliances. There has been an increased popularity in and support for initiatives such as the 100-mile diet, which started with a Vancouver couple who undertook to commit to a year of eating only food that had been produced within 100-mile radius of their home. This idea has gained popularity, and many supporters have rallied behind the idea of local eating for global change. I recently read about a slow food movement created to counteract the fast lifestyle. This movement now has over 100,000 members in 132 countries. There's also a website in the United Kingdom called Big Barn that is gaining popularity. This pledge to rebuild local food supply chains by helping people find good, safe, and accountable food from local sources. These are all encouraging examples of a noticeably cultural shift away from the conspicuous consumption that has characterized our lifestyle for the last few decades. As the economy struggles to recover, more and more people are asking ourselves whether there's a real need for a 5,000 square foot house or a 6,000-pound four-wheel drive truck to navigate suburbia. Hopefully, when the economy eventually recovers, we will be able to resist the call of materialism and sustain this recommitment to achieving quality of life in more traditional manners. It was Joseph Addison who said, "3 grand essentials to happiness in this life are sometimes to do, sometimes to love, and sometimes to hope for." In many ways, this new uncertain future offers us much to hope for. The unfolding events across the economies of our global community form the basis of a new framework not only for our financial systems and practices, but for the nature of the fuel we use to power our future and our lifestyle. These are most definitely interesting times. Now, I realize that even though these interesting times may well prove to be the catalyst for opportunity and reinvention in the future, the unprecedented scope of the global economic crisis we still poses a real and immediate risk, and is certainly cause for concern. When we find ourselves in uncharted territories like this, the familiar economic indicators and established trends upon which we have relied for over 3 generations are no longer reliable signposts as we navigate our course. People are increasingly anxious for the answers to important questions like, when will this all come to an end, and is the worst still to come? So while no one without a crystal ball can claim to know the future, I want to offer my analysis and some predictions. First and most importantly, I believe there is reason to be hopeful. While the peaks and valleys have consisted of record-breaking highs and unprecedented lows, the swings in the market still seem to be holding to established and predictable economic patterns. And within these patterns, we have seen evidence that the markets have shown signs of trying to correct themselves. First, we saw in the fourth quarter of last year about a rally of about 15%, and then a mini recovery up to the end of February in the first quarter of this year. But by the time March came along, we were again testing the new lows. At the end of April, we had reason to be optimistic as we entered 9 weeks of an upswing. But at that time, it was too early to predict whether this was the beginning of a sustained recovery or a false dawn of a bear rally. And certainly at the time of my writing this remarks, the market had revealed that the upswing was holding its course. So what will it take to recover? At the moment, we are seeing U.S. housing markets bottom out in pricing, supply, and housing starts. With refinancing of existing mortgages made available through the newly nationalized banks, we can anticipate lower costs of mortgages. Low interest rates and low mortgage rates means there should be more disposable income in the hands of the consumer. With the refinancing of existing mortgages through many of these nationalized banks, we should also see lower carrying costs of mortgages. When interest rates and thus mortgage rates remain low, the result is that we see more disposable income in the hands of the consumer. The key to our economic recovery is consumer confidence, and we will rally from this crisis only when the consumer sees hope. Unfortunately, at the moment, all we are seeing are bailouts, and we don't see any evidence of a plan for the future, only a reaction to the immediate crisis. And they are fearful, and we are all fearful, that our governments are just throwing good money after bad. One of the most powerful influences on the consumer confidence is the media. And while it has improved slightly over recent weeks, the media appears to have been broadcasting a message of catastrophes. After all, we've discovered that good news doesn't sell newspapers. The consumer is being shortchanged because of a lack of access to objective, balanced reporting and analysis. And ironically, this situation is proving to be an example of careful what you wish for. The doom and gloom scenario put out by the media, if left unchecked, may be proved to be self-fulfilling prophecies. You see, the same news that sells newspapers also erodes consumer confidence and slows spending. This means that we are at an increased risk of talking ourselves into a deeper recession than is warranted. Right now, current consumer confidence levels range from overly sensitive to bad. We've been talking about the recession for a while now, but we are now just beginning to feel its impact. Industries affected have only just begun to lay off workers. But because we've been reading about the recession for months, we have reacted to the news in advance of the realities that may now be impacting us or our family and friends. On an optimistic note, however, I believe that at some point in the near future, consumer confidence will bottom out and then begin to rise as unemployment levels level off and begin to improve. With hindsight comes foresight. So what have we learned? We know that overzealous spending drove stock prices higher than their true value, and then fear and panic caused these same stocks to drop, in many cases well below their fair market value. So far, Canada seems to have weathered this economic storm relatively well compared to other countries. Our banking system, once criticized for its highly conservative regulatory framework, is being held up as the poster child for banking reform. It is this same mantra of prudent fiscal management that will be needed to replace the pre-crisis level of excess and impulsivity. So what does this mean for you, the graduates? Well, you represent our future. You are the economists, philosophers, scientists, poets, engineers, and entrepreneurs who will shape the next 40 to 50 years. You will be at the forefront of the reinvention and transformation we will need to secure a prosperous future for the generations to come. These are interesting times, and they will require us to reinvent ourselves, especially for a resource-based economy like Canada, because our ability to move to recovery continues to be tied to the resource needs of other nations. We are relying on you to build capacity, process more of our own resources, and transform our economy. Over the next decade, we will have to transform ourselves, repositioning from supplying lumber to being an IKEA, from supplying oil to being a Shell, and from supplying water to being a Perrier. You will help us transcend our history as drawers of water, hewers of wood, and pumpers of oil. Barack Obama recently said, "Change will not come if we wait for some other person or some other time. We are the ones we've been waiting for. We are the change that we seek, and you are that change." In 1966, 1 year after Simon Fraser opened its doors, Robert Kennedy spoke at the University of Cape Town in what was then apartheid South Africa. Kennedy, in his address, also made reference to the quote about living in interesting times. So in closing, I thought I would share some of his message, which for different reasons I believe is as relevant to us today as it was back then. Robert Kennedy said, "Like it or not, we live in interesting times. They are times of danger and uncertainty, but they are also more often open to the creative energy of men than any other time in history. And everyone here will ultimately be judged, will ultimately judge himself on the efforts he has contributed to building a new world society and the extent to which his ideals and goals have shaped that effort." Again, my congratulations to you all, and thank you. I now call on the president of our university, Dr. Michael Stevenson.
Thank you, Mr. Chancellor. Ladies and gentlemen, let me add my warm welcome to SFU on this spectacular day on Burnaby Mountain. It's a great pleasure for us to have so many friends and family joining us to celebrate the achievements of those graduating today. Members of the graduating class, let me add my congratulations to those of Chancellor Louis and add to his encouragement that you approach the uncertainties of the present time with optimism, that you see this time of crisis as also a time of great opportunity. It is a time of great opportunity for those who have the creativity to make it so. Creativity will be required to produce the new technologies and public policies that will stimulate real and environmentally sustainable economic growth. Creativity will be required to moderate the social divisions and antagonisms based on heretofore increasingly unequal shares of income, and to provide for social security and critical public investments in health and education as we manage the massive public debts generated by this crisis. Creativity will be required to transcend the irreconcilable differences between religious fundamentalisms and to produce global security in a multipolar world. If creativity in all these dimensions is required, where will it be found? Fortunately, the answer to that question is reasonably clear. Creativity will be found in urban communities like Greater Vancouver. In such communities, social diversity creates a tolerance of cultural and lifestyle difference, an openness to the creative fusion of alternative perspectives, a multilingual capacity to speak and to think across social and national boundaries, the imaginative capacity to think from other points of view, and the embrace of innovation in all things, whether in art and architecture, fashion and design, or business and commerce. Communities like Greater Vancouver are creative cities also because they are home to great universities, whose distinctive mission is to create new knowledge and to qualify students with the critical skills and research competencies that enable them to make original contributions to knowledge themselves. You are privileged to have been educated in one of the world's most vibrant creative cities, and you are graduating from one of the world's most exciting universities. At SFU, the commitment to innovation, creativity, and the embrace of bold initiative reflects the legacy of the radical university founded in the 1960s, and it is built into the very physical structure of our campus. You graduate today in Arthur Erickson's great Convocation Mall. Flanked by the library, theater, and student services building, this mall is literally the crossroads of the university, linking directly to the academic precincts beyond. And the integration of facilities around this mall encourages interaction, conversation, and dialogue across faculties and departments which are separated and siloed elsewhere in individual structures. This has stimulated SFU's unique tradition of interdisciplinary innovation in teaching and research. The centrality in Erickson's design of the library as a common resource for learning, of student services, and of public spaces for ceremonial and cultural activity underlines SFU's commitment to extracurricular life, to learning and creativity outside of the classroom. Erickson's profound commitment to building that is open to and sensitive to the natural environment reinforces our commitment to environmental sustainability. And Erickson created here a supremely creative fusion of multiple architectural vocabularies: Mayan, Mughal, Japanese, and Classical Greek. And these global references reinforce our commitment to thinking of the world. We mourn the passing of Arthur Erickson a few days ago, but his great legacy lives on. As graduates of SFU, I hope you will cherish his commitments to innovation and creativity, to the building of truly livable communities, and to a profound respect for the natural world which sustains us. I know that if you do, your lives will be enriched, and we can look forward to the future with optimism. On behalf of all of us at SFU, our congratulations for your achievements today and our very best wishes for your future success and happiness. Congratulations.
The honorary degree will now be conferred. Mr. President, will you present the honorary degree candidate, Mr. Mofagian?
Mr. Chancellor, this country gains much of its strength from those who come from other lands to share their talent and vision with all Canadians. Javad Mofagian is one such individual. An unassuming man of great generosity and compassion, he is an exemplary citizen who has given back as much as he has received. His journey began in Iran, his country of birth. No stranger to hardship, he lost his father at an early age and was raised by his mother in very modest circumstances. It was she who taught him the importance of community and instilled in him a passion for helping others. In time, he became the largest construction contractor in Tehran and enjoyed an enviable reputation for his business acumen. And in 1987, he immigrated to Canada with his family and used his gifts for business to build a significant development enterprise here in British Columbia. Yet throughout these many years of success, he has never lost sight of his mother's teaching. For more than 30 years, his paramount concern has been the welfare of others, and most especially the health and education of children. In his native country, he funded the construction of numerous schools, including schools for the visually and hearing impaired, now serving over 100,000 students otherwise unable to get a decent education. He has also established more than 70 scholarships for international students in London. Convinced that young people must be healthy before they can learn, he has made several substantial gifts to improve the physical health of children, such as the 4 pressure rooms for bone marrow transplants in Geneva, Switzerland, his 2004 gift to the BC Children's Hospital for redevelopment of their oncology unit and outpatient clinics, and we too have been the fortunate beneficiaries of his friendship and generosity. His magnificent multi-million-dollar gift to our Faculty of Health Sciences will enable researchers to focus their efforts on health policy and programs that will improve children's physical status, emotional development, and mental health. And a part of this exceptionally generous gift will also provide facilities for infectious disease research that will have a significant effect on global health for people of all ages, but particularly for children who are victims of such disease. In 2003, with his usual foresight, Mr. Mofagian created the Javad Mofagian Foundation to ensure that his good work carries on well into the future. Today, we honor this visionary philanthropist and humanitarian. Mr. Chancellor, on behalf of the Senate of this university, I ask that you now confer upon Mr. Javad Mofagian the degree Doctor of Laws, honoris causa.
Javad Mofagian, by the virtue of the authority vested in me and in the Senate of this university, I hereby admit you to the degree of Doctor of Laws, honoris causa. Mr. Mofagian will be hooded by Dr. Bill Crane, Associate Vice President, Academics, and Ms. Kate Ross, the Registrar.
If you could turn and face the audience. If you could turn and face the audience this way and remove your hat. Could you take your hat off, please? Okay.
It is my pleasure now to call on Dr. Javid Mofagian for his convocation address. Dr. Mofagian.
Mr. Chancellor, Mr. President, honored guests, graduates, ladies and gentlemen. It is with great pride and honor that I participate in this ceremony and meet you, a group of young people who are able, ready, and willing to save our beautiful country, Canada, out of this economy crisis. I know that you have just finished your exams and you are tired of speeches. So I decided to tell you a little story. Once upon a time, in a land far, far away, a little boy was born in a family who could not afford to buy him a toy. This boy lost his father when he was only 1 year old, and he was brought up by an angel that happened to be his mother. When this boy was very little, he used to dream that someday he would be rich enough to help little kids around the world. Years passed, and this boy finished his education and began to work on odd jobs. He was not happy until he established his own construction company. When he began, the only capital he had was a great willpower to succeed. In the beginning, this company received some small order, and financially, he was in such a bad position that on many occasions, he and other people working for him had to share a hamburger so that each would receive one half of a hamburger at dinner. But he never lost hope and worked very hard. Due to bad economic, he became bankrupt 2 times. Sometimes he had to borrow some small amount of money from loan sharks at the rate of 600% per year. But I repeat it, as a 600% per year. For a short time, but he never lost hope. It was only his hard work and perseverance that helped him to become a successful entrepreneur. At that time, he remembered his childhood dream. So he began to build schools, including technical schools, schools for handicapped and less fortunate children, a complete compound for visually impaired, including the dormitory, primary, and high school. In that far, far away land today, these 26 schools have more than 25,000 students. The Jawad Muwaffaqian wing at Vancouver Children's Hospital, Simon Fraser University, Center for Child Development, Junior Achievement of British Columbia, Art Umbrella, Liongate Hospital, Canadian Breast Cancer Foundation, and some more small organization which help. That little boy who never lost his hope is at the podium now and talking to you. It is me. You should be proud of this great country of ours, Canada, that has provided you enough to finish your education and be ready to build this land to become wealthier and healthier than ever. Have no doubt, it is a very difficult task, especially because of this international economic crisis. But like that little boy, never lose hope, and you will make it. Let us remember that this great democracy has provided you with the ample of rights and freedoms, including the freedom for your flight to excellence. Good luck. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Mofagian. Ladies and gentlemen, as part of this ceremony, the Alumni Association will present a Simon Fraser University pin to each of the graduates. Our alumni are, of course, very important to us, and on this occasion, the Alumni Association pin will be presented by Mr. Amin Rajin, who graduated from SFU in 1993 with a Bachelor of Science degree in Computing Science, and since 2002, he has been the CEO of Simba Technologies, a Vancouver-based data connectivity software firm. Not only does Simba develop world-class software used by companies such as Microsoft, Oracle, and SAP, but under Mr. Rajan's leadership, Simba is giving back to the local community, having established an endowment at SFU that continues to fund multiple student awards. I invite Mr. Rajan to the podium to bring greetings to the graduates.
On behalf of the Alumni Association, it is my privilege and pleasure to congratulate you all on your graduation. Today, as you begin your lives as members of the alumni community, you join over 100,000 SFU graduates worldwide. As you cross the stage, I will be presenting you with an alumni pin. I encourage you to wear it proudly as a symbol of your achievement and your alumni status. Wherever life takes you in the future, we hope that you will keep the SFU spirit alive and well, and that you will stay connected to your alma mater and your fellow alumni. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Rajan. Before the graduates are presented individually to the Chancellor, Mr. Adam Drake, a member of the graduating class, will address Convocation. As an outstanding student in the School for Interactive Arts and Technology, Adam Drake became a silver-level student ambassador for his many volunteer contributions. He is the recipient of several scholarships, and in the summer of 2006, he was one of 12 students to take part in the annual Italia Design Field School, after which he led a campaign for changing the structure and process of financial assistance for SFU students studying abroad. A member of the Golden Key International Honor Society, Mr. Drake has been on the Dean's Honor Roll for as long as he has been eligible. He plans to pursue a career in interactive design and is currently working in this capacity at Business Objects. He graduates today with a Bachelor of Science in Interactive Design. After the ceremony, Adam will continue making his way by bicycle from Vancouver to Mexico as one of 25 riders raising funds for microcredit lending to address poverty across the world through Global Agents for Change. I am now pleased to call upon Mr. Adam Drake.
Thank you. Wow. I was asked to write a speech for today, and I did. Then I thought maybe I'd just, say something off the top of my head. Look at that. On second thought, that wasn't the smartest idea. These hats are hard to get back on. Good morning, everyone. First of all, I'd like to say thank you for the great introduction. I'd also like to give a shout out to Andrew Drinkwater. I saw him earlier. I don't know if he's around. He is a very special guy who nominated me for this speech, and I'm very honored to have the chance to address you all today. This is something that I've wanted to do and have thought about for a very long time. I'd also like to say thank you to Kate Ross. She's the one who decided that I should be the one to impart my infinite wisdom on you all today, and she's given me 5 minutes to do that. I thought at first that it would be pretty easy. I knew what I wanted to say. Although then I thought about it, and 5 minutes is kind of a long time, so I thought it'd be a little bit difficult. So I opened my computer, I started writing, and I realized I just couldn't stop myself. So here goes. President Stevenson, Chancellor Louis, faculty, staff, and fellow graduates, it is great to be here. I don't have to tell you that today is really special. I would simply like to take a few moments to reflect on just how amazing it is. Convocation is more than just a ceremony to give away a degree and, the piece of paper. It's the culmination of years and years of learning, hard work, fun, success, perhaps most importantly, failure, depending on how you react to failing, of course. Failing is really important and can be incredibly useful, but I'll get to that in a couple of minutes. So just to reiterate, we have done something incredible here. We've been in school for the past 16 or 17 years, although I did 2 years of preschool, so make that 19 years. Take a second to think about all of the grades passed and remember your first A, your first F, your first schoolyard crush, first in-class presentation. So many firsts. School has played a major role in our lives. We've learned a lot of things and met a lot of great people along the way. And in fact, I have several friends now that I've known since elementary and high school. It's pretty fantastic how something that we dread so much in the present feels priceless as a memory. I want to do something now that I don't really do enough, and that is to thank the two people that have helped me in my life the most. I imagine these two people will be the same for all of you, figuratively and not literally. My mom and dad, just down there, have had the pleasure of raising myself and my 4 brothers for the past 26 years or so. Well, I guess they still raise us, let's be honest. Although I think they'll tell you that we're much easier to raise now. Or maybe not. But that's not the point. They really did a bang-up job, and I'm going to highlight some of the specifics for you. From my mom, I would say that I learned the value of intelligence and integrity. Sometimes I hated the degree to which she forced me to understand things, but I'm really grateful for it now. My mom likes to know and to understand, and I think that's probably a major factor in what led me to watch a lot of Discovery Channel, play with a Rubik's Cube, do Sudoku puzzles, fun things like that. She also got me hooked on Tetris back when she bought my older brother and I the first Game Boy as a joint birthday present. I really love to learn, and I know I can attribute this to my mom. I learned hard work and patience from my dad. I imagine it's also where some of my humor comes from, for better or worse. I don't like to stop until a job is done, and done well. I know that's a trait that I've inherited from my dad. He teaches this by example, and again, I'm very grateful for that. It can be exhausting sometimes to try and give it everything your all, but let me tell you, it's worth it. As he would often remind us, if you're not going to do it right, don't bother doing it at all. Or something like that, right? It's funny how much you can remember these old adages, years after hearing them and saying, yeah, I know, I get it. While I pride myself on the fact that I have earned my own way through university, I realize that the support from my family and friends has been a major help. My parents, for sure, have always been there. I've got these fond memories of my mom cheering from the stands when I was in track and field. She was the only one I could hear among all the screaming. And my dad would always be there to help me build strange contraptions that I would dream up. I remember the science fair. He helped me build some kind of magnetic repelling device, and I thought it was just the greatest thing ever. My point here is that we are all collections of the things that we value most in others. I think it's very important to understand that. We use others as our stepping stones to help shape and define who we are, and then we build from there. And in turn, we also influence those around us. We all make each other who we are. So working off of that, here's a bit of my own advice to everyone here. The first is to always be curious. I feel like most of us run the risk of becoming more tame as we get older, and it's sort of strange because we should be getting wiser as we get older. Wisdom is a collection of knowledge and experience. Maybe it's a slightly flawed sense of wisdom, thinking that we should be more careful and responsible as we get older, when really experience tells us that curiosity is a very powerful thing. Try not to fight it, but use your common sense. The second thing is to be confident. Now, I'm not encouraging blind confidence and half-baked curiosities. That would just be foolish. But confidence can get you very far. It comes from a strong belief in what you are doing and why it is important. This leads me to points 2A and 2B. Don't be afraid to ask why and why not. These are two questions that I feel are not asked enough. And now for that portion on failing. I think we all need to be wrong once in a while. I know I've been plenty of times. In fact, one of the turning points in my university career was in a course called Design for Interactive Environments. We were learning how to design magazine spreads. I thought I had something that was really stellar. Although once we put our work up on the wall, I wasn't feeling so hot. In fact, the feedback I got really let me know that I had missed the mark. Instead of getting me down, though, it seemed to light a fire. I wanted to do better, and I knew that I could. I had been too involved with the work to step back and notice I was breaking a bunch of basic rules of graphic design. And then once I realized this, I was ready for the week 2 redesign. Let's just say I nailed it. It was such a proud moment, and I was thankful that I used the failure to fuel my drive for success. Another example happened just a few days ago on this biking tour with Global Agents for Change. The whole thing started on May 31st and goes till July 11th. I'm just kind of on a hiatus for about a day and a half to be up here. We were making our way from Bellingham to Stanwood, Washington, and a fellow rider and I wound up horribly lost because when he said, "Hey, I think we missed the turn," I replied with, "I didn't see anything that sounded familiar. Let's just keep going." What I can only imagine was 20 miles later and several new routes to get back on track, we met the other 16 riders in our group for lunch. Needless to say, we were the last to arrive. Given the choice of riding in the van or finishing the day on the bike, we were both determined to finish by bike. It was such an amazing feeling to bounce back from that. The course I talked about previously was taught by Russell Taylor, a good friend and mentor. He would often remind us of this great quote by Satchel Paige, the first African-American pitcher to be inducted into the National Baseball Hall of Fame. He said, "If they boo you, you gots to make them pay." You see, he was a fantastic pitcher who started playing American baseball back when society was largely divided by color, and when he would enter a stadium, he would get booed, probably because he was so good. Perhaps the best piece of advice I've ever received came from Russell Taylor as well. He said to me, "Know yourself." Things are easier when you know why you're doing them, and that's really key. As we move out of here past the classrooms, study halls, gyms, libraries, computer labs of this great university, I challenge you all to do a few things. First of all, think about those who have shaped you and give them the thanks that they deserve. Second, always keep in mind that you're shaping others. In the famous words of Mahatma Gandhi, be the change that you wish to see in the world. And lastly, follow the advice that I was given and know yourself. Find your stride, learn what your values are, and connect your goals to those values. If you do this already, that's awesome. Keep doing it. If not, well, this is a great time to start. Congratulations, everyone. We've gotten this far. Let's not stop now.
Thank you, Mr. Drake. The members of the graduating class will now be presented to the Chancellor en masse to be admitted to their degrees. Will the graduates please rise? Mr. Chancellor, I present to you these scholars who have fulfilled the statutory requirements laid down by the Senate of the University, and I request that you confer upon each one the degree for which he or she is now recommended.
By virtue of the authority vested in me and in the Senate of this university, I hereby admit you to your various and several degrees. Will the graduates please be seated?
The members of the graduating class will now be presented individually to the Chancellor, but just a few requests before we proceed. Would you please refrain from applauding individual members of the graduating class until each group of degrees has been conferred? This does not forbid spontaneous expressions of enthusiasm. As a courtesy to others, please remain seated until the conclusion of the ceremony, and would the graduates please return to your seats following receipt of your degrees. The degrees in the Faculty of Applied Sciences and the Faculty of Health Sciences will now be conferred. Mr. Chancellor, the Dean of Graduate Studies, Dr. Wade Parkhouse, will announce the names of the candidates for graduate degrees.
Mr. Chancellor, I have the honor of presenting the candidates for the degree Doctor of Philosophy in the Faculty of Applied Sciences. The candidates will be hooded by Dr. John Jones, Acting Dean of the Faculty of Applied Sciences. The first candidate for the degree Doctor of Philosophy is the recipient of the Dean of Graduate Studies Convocation Medal in the Faculty of Applied Sciences. I ask Dr. Aaron Ward to join me. Dr. Ward's doctoral research centered on anatomical shape analysis, where he correlated shape characteristics of the shoulder, muscle, and spine to injuries using highly sophisticated mathematical techniques in computing science. In addition to publishing in both clinical and top technical international journals and conferences, Dr. Ward was selected to present at the Canadian Institutes for Health Research National Research Competition, one of very few students of a select group across the country to be invited to participate. During his PhD, he was the recipient of a Michael Smith Research Health Foundation Trainee Award and is currently a Natural Sciences Engineering Research Council postdoctoral fellow at the Robarts Research Institute at the University of Western Ontario. On behalf of Simon Fraser University, I am pleased to present Dr. Ward with the Dean of Graduate Studies Convocation Medal in the Faculty of Applied Sciences. Mr. Chancellor, I now continue with the presentation of the candidates for the degree Doctor of Philosophy in the Faculty of Applied Sciences. Dr. Diane Burgess. Dr. Burgess completed her doctorate in the in the School of Communications. Her senior supervisor was Dr. Catherine Murray. Dr. Fabio Feldman. Dr. Feldman completed his doctorate in the School of Kinesiology. His senior supervisor was Dr. Stephen Rabinovich. Dr. Brian Fraser. Dr. Fraser completed his doctorate in the School of Computing Science. His senior supervisor was Dr. Robert Hadley. Dr. Alezra Had Kobadashi. Dr. Kobayashi completed his doctorate in the School of Computing Science, and his senior supervisor was Dr. Arvind Gupta. Congratulations. Dr. Edward Hamilton. Dr. Hamilton completed his doctorate in the School of Communications, and his senior supervisor was Dr. Andrew Feenberg. Dr. Mohammed Karami. Dr. Karami completed his doctorate in the School of Computing Science. His senior supervisor was Dr. Arvind Gupta. Dr. Rung Lui. Dr. Lui completed his doctorate in the School of Computing Science. His senior supervisor was Dr. Richard Zhang. Dr. Mira Nair. Dr. Nair completed her doctorate in the School of Communication. Her senior supervisor was Dr. Brian Lewis. Dr. Randy Lyle Taylor. Dr. Taylor completed his doctorate in the School of Communication. His senior supervisor was Professor Peter Anderson. Mr. Chancellor, I have the honor of presenting the candidates for the degree Master of Arts in the Faculty of Applied Sciences. How do I pronounce your name again? Mavis McMillan. Siobhan Quinn. Mr. Chancellor, I have the honor of presenting the candidate for the degree Master of Applied Sciences Interactive Arts in the Faculty of Applied Sciences. Malahat Hosseini. Mr. Chancellor, I have the honor of presenting the candidates for the degree Master of Resource Management in the Faculty of Applied Sciences. Nikki Asterforoff. Garrett Cooper. Megan Dickinson. Thank you. Pamela Dykstra. Danielle Edwards. Suzanne Goldberg. Megan Hennessy. Sarah Howard. Kenneth Meeks. Catherine Muncaster. Jennifer Ness. Hi. Sheila Thompson. Mr. Chancellor, I have the honor of presenting the candidates for the degree Master of Science in the Faculty of Applied Sciences. Will Joseph Choi. Puong Dao. Bernhard Finkbrenner. Jieshang Gu. Kaiyan Jin. Terrence Lavender. Ali Lofty. Liani Marich. Pavan Masani. Seba Sajian. Christopher Singh. Jeffrey Tien. Chirag Vesala. Yangping Zhang. The recipient of the Dean of Graduate Studies Convocation Medal in the Faculty of Health Sciences is Ms. Diane Willems. Ms. Willems regrets that she is unable to be present today. Mr. Chancellor, I have the honor of presenting the candidates for the degree Master of Public Health and Master of Science in the Faculty of Health Sciences. Agnes Takaro Black. Okay. Ojinowidi Iyawo. Olivier Filat. Leanne Fransblow. Clarissa Jones. Glenn Kissman. Annie Matablo. Catherine Racy. Gurjeet Siva.
Mr. Chancellor, the Acting Dean of the Faculty of Applied Sciences, Dr. John Jones, will announce the names of the candidates for undergraduate degrees in that faculty.
Mr. Chancellor, I have the honor of presenting the candidates for the degree of Bachelor of Arts in the Faculty of Applied Sciences. What? Well,
My apologies. There's a different degree in the Faculty of Health Sciences that I neglected to present. Mr. Chancellor, I have the honor of presenting the candidate for the degree Master of Science in the Faculty of Health Sciences. Makham Chavali.
Mr. Chancellor, once again I have the honor of presenting the candidates for the degree of Bachelor of Arts in the Faculty of Applied Sciences. Righto. Eric Adelman. Sherry Akami. I'm sorry? Amia Ahmadi Rashti. Maital Exelrad. Tanaz Al-Safa. Kathleen Almeida. Lindsay Odd. Tara Armstrong. Riza Ayabe. Brian Barazul. Kay Baratugo. Conor Barnsley. Sonia Bassan. Jeremy Baxter. Sarah Patricia Bale. Narissa Basha. Adyam Barane. Leah Kamanzind. Alison Cassels. Judy Catwell McCrae. Stephen Chamberlain. Alexandra Chan. Angela Chan. Cheryl Chan. Julia Chan. Righto. Michael Chan. Marco Chan. Raymond Chan. Seila Chang. Ruby Chang. Hillary Hao Yi Chen. Justin Chen. Meng Chen. Sorry. Bonnie? Bonnie Cheng. Debbie Cheng. Amy Chung. Chris Chung. Kelly Chung. Sorry? Emily Chia. Kevin Choi. Sunny Chong. Carmen Chow. Catherine Chung. Ram Chung. Cody Church. Alana Clark. Kieran Coppy. Kevin Cook. Kelsey Corrigan. Siobhan Corrie. Catherine Coutinho. Heather Cooley. Caitlin Dangio. Vanessa Davey. Amberly Denny. Caitlin Dodd. Jessica Doherty. Lauren Eldridge. Kevin Fan. Z Fan. Shannon Fenrich. Stephen Flack. Annie Forrest. Li Tae Fu. Suk Ting Fung. Same Janina. Michelle Harper. Lee Henderson. Jennifer Hine. William Ho. Kyle Hollett. Justin Holmes. Erica Hongs. Vicky Se. Xing Sheng Hong. Marissa Ayanakone. Maria Ivancic. Angela Ju. Christine Kao. Christy Kazulin. Michael Keller. Rehana Kara. Scott Coe. Michelle Koo. Brian Lai. Jonathan Lai. Cindy Lamb. Isabella Lamb. Vanessa Lane. Philip Larson. Megan Lau. Lok Kan Law. Matthew Law. Ting Law. Karine Lee. Benny Lee. Daniel Lee. Janet Lee. Kaya Lee. Simon Lee. Kitty Hugh Wing Leung. Ka Wing Leung. Stephanie Leung. Joanne Leung. John Calvin Lee. Shi Yu Lee. Vinci Lee. Stephanie Liboiron. Susanna Lim. Jessie Lynn. Tanyalat Lyle. Karen Liu. Ho Man Joseph Liu. Jennifer Cam Man Liu. Nicole Lobo. Matthew Louis. Yahweh Lu. Darylyn Look. Kristen MacDonald. Nicole McClellan. Jonathan Mandel. Laurel March Miller. Zachary Martin. Ian McCants. Scott McEachin. Tess Menges. Rebecca Middleton. Nina Minhas. Crystal Mishra. Dylan Mulvin. Ryan Murray. Kelsey Newsham. Rosetti Chi Lam Ng. Marcella Ng. Vera Ng. Patricia Oliva. Christy Ollis. Caitlin Osborne. Brittany Palmer. Sally Pang. Su Young Park. Anand Pawa. Angela Joy Pegg. Tina Peng. Chelsea Perella. Renee Poirier. Stephen Ramsey. Natalia Rook. Caitlin Ryan. Reza Siddiqui Yekta. Femina Ash Sahib, Jagdeep Sandhu, Joanna Schlosser, Adam Schellenberg, Liana Schmaltz, Katie Seaborn, Ramin Shadmer, Candy Shan, Simon Leung-Ting Shan, Adiba Siddiqui, Kelsey Singbail, Daniel Slyman, Sarah Smith, Mohammed Abbas Somji, Nicole Soon, Scott Strathern, Wakiko Suzuki, Kaitlin Sairochak, Angela Tang, Mickey Tang, Devin Teo, Mark Terrien, Laura Thornborough, Shannon Tinkley, Yuki Tomita, Queenie Tsang, Sally Tse, Angela May Hon Tsui, Christopher Tung, Tassie Vickers, Ali Khan Verani, Paul Voikin, Teresa T. Vu, James Wan Min Ki, Kinson Wang, Peng Peng Wang, Ryan Warner, Chelsea Watt, Rebecca Watts, Catherine Weber, Monica Wizbicki, Alexander Wilson, Ava Wondergem, Brittany Wong, Caron Wong, Marie Wong, Po Yi Wong, Tsei Wai Wong, Erica Wong, Anna Wu, Jessica Xu, Min Xu, Ya Ting Yang, Lorraine Yao, Peter Yao, Terence Yi, Kathy Ye, Wendy Yen, Daryl Yeo, Vanessa Yip, Alexandra Young, Joseph Yu, Barbara Kai Yui Yuen. Mr. Chancellor, I have the honor of presenting the candidates for the degree of Bachelor of General Studies in the Faculty of Applied Sciences. Kirsten Hyde. Nicole Jensen. Hyun-Mi Kang. Raymond Lee. Randy Phillips. Windy Priddy. Kiawit, okay. Renee Anthony Kiawit. Mr. Chancellor, I have the honor of presenting the candidates for the degree of Bachelor of Science in the Faculty of Applied Sciences. Nasa Almadi. Tai-Hoon An. Kenrick Ao. Rayon Buyan. Liu Ji Phyllis B. Aaron Brown. Travis Brown. Gavin Card. Gabrielle Chan. Michelle Chan. Wen Chan. Brady Chen. Chun Ye Chen. Ina Chen. Nathan Cheng. Helen Rai Chiang. Ki Wan Choi. Geraldine Chong. Anne Chu. Mark Kenneth Chua. Kerry Corrigal. Adrian Delotz. Esun Daihimi. Adam Drake. Andrew Elmore. Jeffrey Fang. Marie Clarice Gachilian. Seiji Godo. Sapand Goshgini. Darian Grant. Zaid Haddad. Yip Shing Ho. Yin Chen Xie. Jimmy Su. James Shui. Thomas Huang. Danki Hung. Matthew Jeffrey. Jai Ju. Sina Koshro. Diana Kidd. Yoonjong Kim. John Kaur. Craig Cost. Tony Kwan. Sherry Lai. Virginia Lamb. Serge Lancico. Patrick Larive Woods. Timur Sharemisov. Charles Law. Darius Law. Eric Lee. Jenny Lee. Junyoung Lee. Justin Lee. Christopher Lee. George Leung. Alan Lee. Karen Lee. Andrew Liang. Arthur Lin. Kin Ting Liu. Amy Lowe. Derek Lowe. Wayne Lowe. Ryan Longair. Alex Larimer. Joe Hong Jai Lu. Ronnie Ma. Lokteen Mark. Michael Malyok. Thomas MacDonald. Matthew McKinnon. Arthur Miyazaki. Wayne Moe. Navid Moraway. Gary Morrison. Shane Joseph Motishaw. Taikinoli Nakamura. Benedict Ng. John Ng. Andrew Nurse. Andrew Osborne. Brian Otto. Derek Pante. Melvin Parinas. Natalie Parolin. Christine Poe. Dragolyub Popirovich. Brian Kwan. Roderick Quinto. Sampar Rasky. Daniel Rawson. Yon Ru. Kyle Sakai. Matthew Sakaluk. Santi. Carl Schmidt. Yuki Sesto Tam. Simon Shum. Alexandra Skibiki. Paula Salanoy. Benny Su. Alice Tai. Sunny Tam. Xiang Tang. Ziun Tang. Jenny Tai. Dustin Thompson. Andrew Thong. Alex Tsai. Anthony Tsiong. Velko Vechev. Dominique Vogel. Randy Weines. Max Whitney. Andrew Wong. Nick Shailin Wu. Li Zhao. Ji Yang. Daniel Yao. James Yeo. Terry Yu. Kevin Yuan. Arash Zetab Jadid. Yang Zhao. Pingping Zheng. Adam Zimmerman. Mr. Chancellor, I have the honor of presenting the candidate for the degree of Bachelor of Science, Information Technology in the Faculty of Applied Sciences. Sabrina Dai. Mr. Chancellor, I have the honor of presenting the candidate for the degree of Bachelor of Science, Interactive Arts in the Faculty of Applied Sciences. Robert White.
Mr. Chancellor, the Dean of the Faculty of Health Sciences, Dr. John O'Neill, will announce the names of the candidates for undergraduate degrees in his faculty.
Mr. Chancellor, I have the honor of presenting the charter candidates for the degree of Bachelor of Arts in Health Sciences in the Faculty of Health Sciences. Faculty of Health Sciences opened its doors to students in 2005, and on behalf of my faculty members, I'm very proud to present these candidates to you today, our first graduates. Allison Chang. Stephanie Lehman. James Milage. Shayna Pennington. Tara Shayegan. Mr. Chancellor, I have the honor of presenting the candidate, the charter candidate, for the degree of Bachelor of Science in Health Sciences in the Faculty of Health Sciences. Kathleen Dio.
Mr. Chancellor, I have the honor of presenting the candidate for diplomas in the Faculty of Applied Sciences. Chung Ching Lan, April Lu Pacifico.
I know. Thank you.
Okay. Now you can do them all. Will the graduating class now please rise? I congratulate each of you on the achievement of your degree, on the completion of your degree, which is an impressive achievement, and I ask your friends and family to join me in applauding the graduating class of 2009. And now I invite you, the members of the graduating class, to reciprocate by applauding your family, friends, faculty, and staff, all who have helped you achieve this goal. Thank you. Please be seated.
Ladies and gentlemen, this completes the formal awarding of degrees. Some candidates recommended by the Senate for degrees today are unable to be present, and their names have therefore not been read out. I now admit them to the appropriate degrees as shown on the program. First, I'd like to thank all of you for joining us on the Hill today to help the university celebrate such an important day in the life of a graduate. And it is actually a very beautiful day compared to the days that we have just come through. To the many volunteer staff and faculty members coordinated by the Student Services and Ceremonies and Events Office, we thank you for running a very, very smooth convocation. And to our 5-time world champion Simon Fraser University Pipe Band organization for their very special contribution to convocation. They will perform after the ceremony in Freedom Square behind the platform. This now brings a close to the formal part of this morning's convocation, and I'm asking you all to please rise and stand at your places until the platform party has recessed. Thank you.